We started. It's my starting position. This is one we recorded before, and the mics weren't working, so we're trying a new mic. I call it my pelvis emergency movements. There's basically three things that I've been doing for over 10 years now, that and I do them with clients. If you've been standing for too long on one leg, or holding a child maybe. What came up last week was someone had been on a ladder, so they had 1 foot up. And also for me, gardening, if you're down on one knee, your pelvis is going to be a little bit twisted. It's going to be a little bit twisted that way and a little bit twisted this way. And it's mainly what people call back pain, is usually the pelvis twisted. And there's 3 simple things you can do. You can just relax and do 3 little moves, and they'll bring the pelvis back in line. If when you start doing the moves you feel in lots of pain, then it's obviously you're too inflamed today to do it. Try it again tomorrow, try it again the next day. There should be no pain when you're doing it, and when you relax, it should just feel like you're more aligned up. That, and keep an eye on the fact that you may be putting 1 foot forward, so if you could put your other foot forward, or just swap things around, swap the children from hips to hips, then you prevent this from happening in the first place. Okay, we're going to cut to Ruth on the floor. Okay, Ruth's kindly agreed to demonstrate. First of all, you're going to lie with your knees bent, feet flat, and then you're just going to tilt the pelvis back and 2. Okay, and just do it relaxed. Don't put any effort into it. It's not like you're in a class. You're just lying, relaxing back in 2. And then you're going to straighten the legs out. If the back's happy with that, you can still keep the knees a little bent, or put a cushion under your knees if your back's not happy with that, or your pelvis isn't happy with that. And then you're going to keep the feet on the floor, but you're going to reach one leg away. Good. And then reach the other leg away. And we'll get a close-up of this in a minute from above, just to see the pelvis moving. And the very stylish leggings. Good. And we'll do a quick cut away to the skeleton as well, and you can see the pelvis moving there, and how the iliums move back into, and how the sacrum gets stuck. And you're just doing that on purpose, wiggling back into with no pressure. It'll just relax the sacrum, the tailbone at the back. Okay, just relax. Good. And then you're going to knees bent again, feet flat, and you're going to lift your bum up, and you're going to find the knobbly bits on the back again where the sacrum meet. So your hips go round, and again we'll have a quick zoom in on the skeleton to show you on the skeleton where the bits are. You find those, and you take 2 balls, and they can be tennis balls. So you lift your hips up, and you put a ball on each one. Soft tennis balls. I don't play tennis, but apparently tennis players don't like the balls too soft. So if you've got a friend that plays tennis, you want their old tennis balls. And then you're just going to wiggle back in 2. So you're putting the balls just on the bones. You lift your hips up, you can feel the bones either side of the spine, just at the bottom. And they're just wiggling back in 2. So they're right down here. And again, I'm going to show you on the skeleton. And you're just wiggling back in 2. And it's only a small amount you can move, really. There should be absolutely no pain when you're doing this. And it should almost feel like nothing's happening. But it should be a nice, relaxing feeling later on. And this way, I like to say that we're kind of confusing the sacrum, or just allowing the connective tissue to just go, oh, okay, I'm just going to not be in a tight spot. I'm just going to relax and feel a little bit at home. And the pelvis will decide where it wants to be. So we do a little bridge. We take the balls back out, which I'll take off here. There we go. And then legs straight again. And then if you can, again, if it's tight for your back, you just put something under your knees there, rolled up towel or one of these bolsters. And then if you can, just lie and breathe. Now this bit I love, and if I was doing it at home, I would take the time to do this. You just lie and breathe, and picture your pelvis moving as much as your ribs. So try and take the breath down to your pelvis, and imagine when you're breathing in that the pelvis is opening, and feel the pelvis just kind of settling. It will just settle to where it wants to be. We might not be able to get everything lined up. We might not be able to get it released, but you should be able to get it to just settle into a place where it wants to be today, and then you try again tomorrow or later on in the evening or whatever. So the longer you do this bit, the better. I mean, just lying still, thinking about breathing, that's a nice thing to do. Picture your pelvis. Being the perfect pelvis, being balanced, being even, and as you breathe in, think of it opening a little bit, and then it will just kind of settle where it needs to be. So after we've released it and hopefully settled it and brought it back to a kind of neutral place where it's going to be less pressure on your back and on your hips, we're going to work the muscles that we need to keep it into place. So take a breath in, and as you breathe out, just gently push your heels down into the mat. And that's all I want you to do, just gently push your heels down into the mat. And as you can see, the back of her legs, her calves and her glutes are firing on, her brum muscles are firing on, and then breathe in and just relax, forget. And then breathing out. So your legs don't have to lift. If you're very hypermobile and you find your knees are bending backwards, then definitely put a cushion or a rolled up towel or something under your knees so that they're starting bent. You can't even do this with your knees totally bent. So just wanting to squeeze her glutes. Ruth's actually managing to lift herself up, which is the next thing I was going to say to do. But really, it's just squeezing your glutes. Just do a low-level version for everybody. So you're just not moving anywhere. She's just squeezing her bum muscles and then pushing her heels down. Interestingly, if when you push your heels down, the bum muscles don't fire on, that's probably the reason that your lower back aches. The glutes should fire on whenever the legs move back behind you. If you find that one bum muscle's firing on and the other one's not, that's also a problem. There's an exercise called the clams where you're just lying down doing this. That's in my top 3 tips, so go and have a look at that one. Ruth's doing it quite strongly and she's lifting her hips up off the mat. That's great, she can do that. You do not have to. You can just do a couple more low-level ones where you just push your heels down and squeeze your bum, and it's just pulling the pelvis, or it's just encouraging the muscles to put the pelvis and the sacrum back into place. And then relax. Lovely. You could end by hugging your knees in, don't have to. Good. So it's just those 3 things. Moving the hips side to side, then massaging the lower back with a spiky ball or 2 soft tennis balls, and then it's just this idea of pushing the heels down and squeezing the glutes so that the pelvis just gets locked back into this new, hopefully happier place. And then you just do that a couple of times. So again, try and avoid that tension in the first place by just swapping which is your dominant leg. Even if you're at work and you lean forward, there'll always be one dominant leg. Maybe you're sitting like this on your chair as well. So just keep swapping it over so the pelvis gets a little rotate either way. Good luck, guys. Hope that helps.